Hello everyone, today we're going to be reviewing these headphones. These are the HyperX Cloud 3 wireless gaming headphones, and I've had the experience of using them for about a week. I really like them, so I wanted to tell you about them. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first of all, when it comes to the build quality of these headphones, they're really good. They're on the premium side of build quality, where the metal and the finish feels really good on the outside shell and on the inside earpads as well. The earpads also feel really good and they're very deep and your ears are not going to touch the drivers. Inside the box for this headphone, you get a few things like this beautiful pouch. It's probably not going to protect the headphone if you're using it for travel because this is just a very loose little bag, but it's nice to have, I suppose. You also get a charging cable and you get the USB adapter, the dongle. Now, of course, these are the successors for the Cloud 2 wireless, which I also happened to try, and I found these to be just a little bit better at almost everything. I mean everything. So again, with the build quality, it's really nice. These cables right here between the drivers and then the headband of the headphone are also a bit better. They're more braided, they're thicker, which means that they're a little bit less flexible, but it really doesn't matter because it is at the end of the day built better. The headband on top is very comfortable. It is very plush from the outside and the inside as well, which makes it absolutely perfect for long hours of use. There might be other issues with comfort, but we'll talk about those later, but not big issues, don't worry. So overall build quality, plastic on the outside, some metal where it really is important to have metal. Everything else is really good, no problems. Before moving on to the sound quality and the comfort, I want to talk about the buttons on the headphone itself. There's a power button, there's a microphone mute button, and there's a headphone dial. There's also the microphone jack and the USB-C. The only thing that's really missing from this headphone, and something that I absolutely wish it had, and I'm honestly really disappointed it doesn't, and I think every headset is an aux cable. An aux input is really important. Yes, this headphone has an incredible 120 hours of battery life, which is beautiful. But at the same time, there's some situations where someone like me, for example, because it's such a good headset, as a monitoring headset for some applications, or like a backup monitoring headset anyway. But then again, I suppose I could also say I want some Bluetooth on it, which is also a thing that it's missing. Unfortunately, for a headphone that is around $150, not having Bluetooth or aux cable connection is a bit of a bummer. But going back to the headphone itself, the microphone on the headphone itself is also built really well, and I really enjoy how it just feels like there's a bigger capsule inside. I don't know if that's true, but it just looks like it, and it looks professional and very nice. This piece of metal is not shielded with any leather or whatever the material was before, which really wore out quickly and made it look really silly within the first 2-3 years of use. Now moving on to the comfort. The comfort on this headphone is absolutely amazing, and it is very popular for that reason. Many people just stop thinking when wanting to buy a headset and they just go for the Cloud 2s and the Cloud 3s, and I completely get it. It's really good. The comfort on this headphone is just next to none when it comes to the padding on top and the padding on these ear cups. Can you just see how plush these things feel? I think this is faux leather. I don't think this is real leather, but it's very comfortable, and the ear pads go very deep inside, which means that your ears are never going to touch the drivers, and even if they got close, the material that they're using inside is also very comfortable, so this is never going to get your ears to be hurt. However, as with everything, unfortunately, the one issue that I've had at least is breathability. This is a closed back headphone, as well as 99% of gaming headphones, but what this meant is that even in cold weather, this headphone didn't last around 45 minutes to an hour before starting to sweat a little bit. And maybe that's me. Maybe I just sweat a lot. I mean, that's, my friends have known that about me. I do sweat plenty. But generally speaking, 45 minutes to an hour or less, maybe on me. I don't want to blame the headphone completely because this has happened with other headphones with me as well. But it does start to sweat, which is a bit of a problem because the moment they start sweating hard and profusely, it gets a little bit uncomfortable. But again, I said this before, I said again, this could be me because this happened on the Cloud 2s and the Cloud Alphas as well, maybe a bit less on the Alphas, but same thing applies. So moving on to the sound quality. The sound quality on this headphone is absolutely interesting. I'm not going to say that it's perfect because it really isn't, but it's really good. So let's start with why it is interesting. Well, if you look at the graph that is published by Ratings on this headphone, you can see a few interesting things. First of all, the sub bass. So between, I don't know, like 20 hertz and 60 to 70 hertz, there's a big drop, which means that those really low thumps are a lot weaker than those that you might find in other headphones, which, by the way, I'm very sure that that is one of the main reasons that this headphone managed to get such large amount of hours. I don't know if that's how the physics work, but I'm pretty sure that is. Anyways, there's a slight boost to the normal range when it comes to the high bass, but then on the low mids, around 120 to around 300 hertz, there's a huge dip. You can see it. And that dip is a little weird of an option, to be honest, because it makes things sound boxy. I don't know how to describe it, but it makes sounds a bit unnatural, and especially vocals, voices, it removes that grit from certain voices. And for some applications, I don't really like that. But then again, this is for gaming, so I'll get to that in a second. The mids are perfect on this headphone. The mids are absolutely perfect. I love them so much. The top end slowly starts to dip after 12, 13 kilohertz, which is somewhat fine. So the absolute tops, the S's, the squeezes, the sharp details are also a little bit faded, which is good for some people and not so good for other people. It's good for people who are like me, a bit treble sensitive, so this just makes it more comfortable to use for a longer amount of time. But it's not as good if you want to hear some sharp details, and some people just think that if it sounds sharp, then it's high quality, and for those folks, you might be a little bit disappointed with the results of this because it's not as sharp as you might imagine or as you might want, which is perfectly fine. That said, HyperX does offer plenty of options in their app. I think it's called Ingenuity or something like this, and I've used some things like mic monitoring, which is really useful as well, at least for me. There's plenty of presets. I've tried the bass boost preset, and the bass does become a bit way too much, as you would expect with a gaming headphone, but it sounds pretty good. It sounds all right. Now, for the price, you probably want me to say something better than it sounds all right, and yes, it sounds very good, especially for gaming and for applications like that. Now, what about people who are scared of, oh yeah, I want the 7.1? There is, they call it the DTS-X 7.1. It's absolutely garbage. Please don't turn it on. It just adds a bit of reverb. It's trying to lie to you. It's really not good. I love HyperX. I've reviewed many of the products before, but that is just not a real thing. If it makes you happier, please go on and use it, but it's not for me. I don't recommend it personally. How does it perform in video games? Well, in playing games like Counter-Strike, in playing games like Call of Duty, those are the two main games I've played. Oh, and Doom as well. I noticed that this headphone works very, very well in determining the enemy footsteps. The grenades are not as thumpy, but they're quite good as well. The guns are not very sharp, which is amazing, and it leaves nothing to be desired. There is nothing that you can't hear in a game if you're trying to play it strategically with these headphones. However, unfortunately, the biggest factor for me, which is something that I actually am pretty shocked about, is the latency. It is actually fairly high. I don't know if this is because it's connected to an adapter, the USB-A adapter, and not directly to the computer from the USB-C. I don't know if it's also because I messed somewhat a little bit with the settings, but the latency on this is not as good as I hoped it would be. It's kind of noticeable, and that sort of defeats the purpose from a wireless headphone, because at that point, just get a Bluetooth headphone. Now again, this could be my unit, but my experience with the latency haven't been great. It should be way too good for casual gamers and for people just wanting a very comfortable wireless headset. You know, if we're talking with the boys, all these sort of things should be more than okay. But if you want the most competitive edge, then you probably don't want this anyway. But it should be fine for most people. But when you pay attention, you might start noticing the delay. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the microphone. So I can't really review this headphone without a microphone test. And now you're listening to the sound that's coming right out of the microphone of the HyperX headphone. I've adjusted nothing with the settings. This is what it sounds like raw. It's a little quiet for some reason. Yeah, so these capsules are very, very weird with the way they sound and how loud they can get. And they get really loud very quick, and that's why people start eating the mic, and it's just a concerning thing. So anyways, this is what it sounds like. It might not sound great, but unfortunately it is a wireless headset, and wireless headsets have a limitation with connecting to the computer and how much quality they can send in with microphones and all the real-time processing that's happening into the mic, like noise cancelling and things like this. Quickly start typing on the keyboard so you can hear what it sounds like when I'm talking. I will also talk at the same time, so can you hear it at all? Maybe you can, maybe you can't, I don't know. We'll find out in post-production. Well then, I love this headset, and I think it sounds really, really good. I think it's very comfortable. I think that for most people, this is a beautiful headset for around $150. But for people who want the most competitive advantage and the most thumpy, most bright sound, most extreme V-shape that you're ever going to find, then this headphone might not be the one that's catering to you. That's going to be my review of this headphone. I like it plenty. Anyways, if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe, please like it if you did like it, and I hope you did. And take care. Have a lovely day, and goodbye.